So y'all finished y'all number 4? So, oh, okay. Thing about number 4 is asking you about the zeros in the linear functions. So how does that, think about how that impact, or that affects the product of those functions, the zeros. So this one's asking you to, what's the product every time it's crossing the x-axis? So like, what's the product of those functions when it's 0? So like, this product is going to be what? What's its y value? Like the y value where x is.
Well, you chose that.
Well, that's the x value.
You from both of them.
So the y value would be what here? But what's the y value where it crosses there?
I'll take a second, I remember what yours is.
The y value.
So you will get the one.
Because that's what English teacher you slap on your hand.
Yeah. Yes or no? Sorry.
Choose up with
No.
Choose a point.
For what? Number 4? Okay. It's asking you when one of the linear factor, like at the 0. So like here, when I have x is equal to like 4 point something, right? The y value of this one's 0 and the y value of this one's positive. What's that product going to be? 0 times anything. So where's that? Where am I going to plot that point for my new function? 0 times anything on the x-axis, right? But remember how the zeros of the linear factors tell us the zeros of our new function. So aren't they going to be the same? So doesn't it make sense that where this crosses the x-axis, like our new function's also going to cross there? Okay. So that's kind of what this question's getting at here.
So between multiply these two.
Huh? Okay, so where are the zeros at? So where are the zeros on the graph?
I'm still
Okay,
with
so
two
what's
nines.
the product of those functions going to be? Where's 0? Alright. So we're going to plot the point. Yes. Okay.
Perfect, that one goes out.
Okay, it's good.
How much was the pasta? I haven't had $85 for a couple. No, I didn't. My auntie house. Wow.
Okay guys, let's look up here, let's go over number 4. So it wants you to describe the product of your two linear factors when, like, at the zeros. So where do I need to look? Okay, we gotta look at the zeros. So I'm looking here for an x value, and I'm looking at this x value. let's look at those corresponding outputs of the linear functions there. What's this output? And this output's something positive, but what's that product gonna be? Okay? So where am I gonna plot my new point for the product? What x value, yeah, it would be at 0, 0, because I'm keeping that x value, right? But then, what about this point? What would I have to multiply to get the product? Well, remember, what values am I multiplying? More specifically, when I'm talking about multiplying these functions together, I'm multiplying what values from the. Well, we're using those x values to describe to find the outputs. So we're multiplying those outputs. So where x is like 4 point something, what's that output on the 0? Guys, if it's a 0, then what's the output? 0. So we're multiplying 0 times something is going to give us what? Okay, so my new function, so this is kind of how we said, remember how the linear factors can help us tell us the zeros of our product function? Notice how they're the same. They're going to be the same. So for number 4, we can write that the value, so the value of the product is 0 where the linear functions are 0.
I wish I was that popular. I wish I was that popular.
Okay, so then number 5 tells us to sketch the new function using your information from 2 and 3. Okay, so looking at 2, it tells us what the function's gonna, if it's gonna be positive and negative in certain regions, right? Okay, 2b tells us more specifically about where we can plot some points in the regions. And then we can use number 3 to help us with the point of intersection. And then also number 4 tells us about where our graph's gonna do what?
Cross the X.
Right, our number 4 tells us where that graph's going to cross the X. So we can put all these things together to draw our new graph, but we also know what it's kind of supposed to look like, right? We know it's going to be quadratic, so it's going to be what shape? Okay, so
Wait, so what you just wrote, that's for number 5?
no, this was for what I wrote for number 4 because number 5 just asked you to sketch it.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I just flipped the question on top of it. But
I'll keep that up.
so okay, we have our 2 zeros. Let's look back at number 3 real quick. Let's get this point of intersection. Chloe, you said that the x value for this point was what?
2.83.
Okay, so this is at 2.83. What did we have to do to our point of intersection to get that product?
Square.
Square it. So what's my output?
It's like 8.00.
Okay, so we can plot that, like, you want to use the same x value, and that's what I did up here. was I just plotted like right above the 8. So for a lot of these, we might have to approximate where it's going on the graph. Okay, so now we can pick new x values, right? And we're looking for their product to find the new output. Okay, so let's look in region A. What's another x value I can choose in there that's going to help me develop this graph a little bit better? Like, what's the next output I need to look for when x is equal to? Well, if x is 0, I already know my y is 0, but I'm trying to find more points to draw my graph. So what's in,
-1.
yeah, so we could use -1. Okay, did anybody, I don't know if anybody did that for, if you did -1 and 2b, what was your product? Or if not, can someone do it? Can y'all pick up your calculators and do it? Because you need to be able to know how to find these points. It only asks you to pick 1 point in each region, but is 1 point in each region enough to create a new graph? No. So being able to do these calculations again to find more points, like, you're going to have to do it. So with the input of -1, what's our new product? -10.5, is that what y'all are getting? -10.5? -10.5? Yeah. Okay, so at -1, so I can come down here a little bit. Okay, what about region C? What's an x value? Either we need to calculate it, or if the group has already calculated that product, what's the value and what's the product? So you could pick several points here in region C. You could use 5, 6, 7, 8. Those would all give you new y values, but I think just to make the general shape of the graph, we really just need to pick one more. So for 5, so 5 comma, what y'all getting? Okay, 5. Okay, and then did anyone choose a x value of 6 by chance? What would the product be if the x value is 6, guys? Put in your calculator. Like, if you put in your calculator once to calculate your new x values, you're essentially just having to change those inputs. So you remember how we can set our calculators up to copy paste, like, equations going down? Okay, so if x is 6, what would the product be? So that would be far down. So, do I have enough points on here to make a parabola? Like, Mr. Kinney, would you say that's sufficient?
Yep.
Okay. So then, so with this graph, we had to approximate, I guess, a little bit more than we're used to, but okay, and then I'll let y'all finish with that. We're going to think about, sorry, just going to go on to number 6 and then I'll do it for today. So go ahead and start looking at number 6, thinking about number 6. We're just going to answer it and then do our understanding check. Okay, are y'all good with this graph? Okay. So number 6 asks, how does the zero product property relate to the x-intercept? So here's the zero product property. Says if the product of 2 or more factors is equal to 0, then at least one of the factors must be equal to 0. Okay? We've already like seen what that looks like on the graph, so we just need to put it into words now. what did those, how does that, the zero product property relate to like what we had to do with the zeros on our graph? So what does the x-intercept tell us? What does the x-intercept have to do with a zero?
That's where it's located.
Well, what's a zero?
Where
Well, it's not where the x is zero, it's where
the
the y is zero. So we need to talk about how the x-intercept is the value where the product function is zero. As well as one of its linear factors. Okay, so after you've written this down, go ahead and clear your stuff off. Get your calculator out, get out your scoring rubric. We'll have the rest of the time to do this understanding check, and you can bring it to me when you're done.
No, easy. No, it's not
Okay, y'all. Okay, everyone has understanding check. No notes. Use your calculators. You might want to have that scoring rubric out. Yeah. Good luck.
Also, remember, show us everything you know. Stop just writing a single answer, because I've already seen that on some of the first block. Justify, explain. That the whole point of that is so that I can see everything you do know. Also, don't just sit there and blankly stare at a question for 10 minutes. That's not going to help you show me everything you do know.